You and your purpose in life are the same thing. Your purpose is to be you. This is a quote by George Alexio. Your sacred space is where you can find yourself over and over again by Joseph Campbell. Welcome to the second part of Spirituality and Mental Health with Reverend Kimani. Spirituality, we are told, is who we are in relationship to a spring being. Finding oneself, finding one's quality. Thank you for being here. If you haven't watched the first part, please go back to last week's video and watch, because this is a continuity from the first part. Please always remember to subscribe, to click on the notification bell, to share, and to comment. God bless.
What makes a normal person go to a place or to a religion that under normal circumstances you will find it is weird? You get addicted to that. So that when whatever the man of God says is law to you, what happens to a person?
Yeah, we need to agree on some things that, number one, like in Africa, there are a lot of problems. If we can export problems, then we would be a rich nation. And because of those problems, sometimes we also want quick solutions.
Quick solutions, yes.
We do not want to follow the procedures. You're finding a young man who is 22 years old and is so stressed and depressed that he does not own a car. If you think of how long he has worked, or logically, even if he was to work and genuinely earn money, it is almost practically impossible to have had a car. And not just a car, they want the super vehicles, the Maserati, the Volkswagen, the Gazlas. And probably even this young person does not even have a home. And because of that, we want shortcuts into getting there. I want to be 25 years old and I want to be a doctor. So I will go to church, and because me as a pastor, I know what you want and I know what you need. Because there's a difference between what you need and what you want.
Yeah.
Because I know what you want, then I will say, first of all, what you want to hear. Then I will control and manipulate what you want to hear to show you that unless you follow my ways, then you cannot get to where I want you to be. And this makes many people move astray, because they are seeing like you're the destiny connector. They are seeing like without you, I will not reach my goals. And sometimes we forget that God has set principles that we must follow.
Yeah.
God has set principles that not just about being a Christian, but even a normal person who is not born again. If we are able to follow the principles of accounting, the principles of creating wealth, you do not have to be a Christian. Because unfortunately, most of the things, instead of even looking horizontally, many times we want to look vertically and think that things will come pop. Yes.
So religious manipulation comes from the fact that we want things very fast. We do not want to go along the due process.
Absolutely, yes. And I would say that the cause of this is from different sources. We will not just blame religion. We can also blame a number of factors. Number one, we have a very corrupt society that we cannot even tell. Our own parents sometimes cannot account for how they acquired whatever they have. Two, the kind of people we admire sometimes are not the best example. Sometimes we have some of these musicians who will go and have a gig because people are kind of idolizing music and musicians. And so they will go to a gig. And some of the young people nowadays are earning from YouTube. They are earning from social media. And some of them have had to have followers, so many followers. And so sometimes they earn so much money in this. But even if you go to them, they do not earn these followers overnight. And sometimes they do not also take time to explain to these young people, these are the number of years. I've been in this industry for 15 years, for 20 years, and I've gained my viewers over a long period of time. And this is why I have this number of views. This is why I am earning this. And so because of that, many young people are yearning to be where others are. And so when it comes from that area, and you have also our MPs, our politicians, who are also earning unfairly, because some of them are not even, you cannot even compare some of our politicians with professionals.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they are earning more than the professionals. So these young people are feeling that I don't need to go to a professional, to a profession. I need to go to either to music industry or to politics or to some of these shortcuts. That is why things like Freemasonry is gaining momentum very fast, because it is trying to offer the solution of get rich quick syndrome. Now when the churches come and try to offer the same kind of solution, that there is a shortcut, you either need to fast and pray, you need to fast to pray, I don't know, for 8 hours, or fast for 21 days.
You need to plant seed.
Yes, you need to plant seed, you need to give to a particular religious leader so that you doors can open and you are closing doors for yourself. This is the kind of problem that we are now having, that religion is actually becoming dangerous. Yes.
What do you think can move us out of this danger?
Number one, the Bible talks about contentment. Number one, I do believe that very few Kenyans are poor. The only problem is that we are not contented. Two, we misprioritize. We have placed the wrong price tags on wrong things. We have turned our world upside down. The most expensive things have been rendered very cheap, and the very cheap things have been rendered very expensive. And so the young people will go for those cheap things, assuming that they're very expensive. And that is what life is all about. For example, young people today are concerned so much about how they wear, where they stay, the kind of lifestyle they have. That is why today in marriage, somebody is only talking that I want a rich person or financially stable person. And all these things are causing so much anxiety, and they are causing so much disturbance in the mind and the way people reason. And this is why this is what is causing depression and mental illness, the anxiety, the bipolar problem in our society. This is why we have a very sick society, because of how the field is set.
Does it mean our values are changing?
Exactly. A child would rather be like Eric Omondi rather than being like the AG. A child, you would talk about Dr. Ben Carson.
Yeah.
And talk to a myriad of children. They will not even quote that person, a medical doctor, as their hero or their role model. They will quote the musicians, the Eminem. They will quote the Tupacs. They will quote some of these musicians and some socialites.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be the Vera Sidika of today. She will influence how I'm going to wear. And if I don't have what she has, I will not get sleep.
Does it mean that we have ceased to know who we are? So we want to be who somebody else is.
When the qualities of life change, when we change the parameters of life and set new benchmarks, then it means that we place different values on different things according to what we think. Can you imagine if somebody, if you have a parent who did not go to school but is rich, definitely they will say, sio lazima usome, si hata mimi nilitajirika. In other words, we do not want to look at ourselves and accept the reality. Yes, God may have blessed you. You may have come from a family that is a bit stable, and so you had an opportunity to get wealth. But we also forget that there are principles of life, which, if not followed, we may have those riches, but they may not make so much sense to us. And the chances of destroying the same wealth is very, very high.
And these principles of life are deeply rooted on spirituality. When we were beginning, you talked about spirituality as finding yourself. Mm-hmm. Now, this is why I'm coming back to this. The society has reached a point when we do not know who we are, and therefore we want to emulate anybody that comes about. Does it mean we have lost it?
Now, look at what today, what is it that makes us who we are? Why are even most of our marriages going down?
Yes.
Because I do not know myself, but there is someone I want, without knowing whether my character and quality can match that person that I want. I am seeing a very cool girl, a girl who does not party. I want a very submissive wife. But I myself, I come from a wretched background. I have a character that even if I was myself, even if I was to choose myself, I wouldn't. Because I'm a terrible character. Yet I want that other person to tolerate me. So, you can think what is giving us value. It's about clothing. It's about the type of car. If you look at most of the whites, a vehicle is a means of transport.
From point A
to point B.
Yeah.
But to me as a Kenyan, a car is a status. And it will define who I am.
Yeah.
And I can be very, very empty inside. But I have a car. We are defined by the type of clothes. That is why today fashions keep changing, because I think that the way I look can give me value. I'll find a child from Kibera, and I'm not saying that anybody from Kibera or slums should not wear well, but I will even hide that I come from Kibera through the kind of clothing that I'm wearing. Today, the young people are calling it kupiga luku.
Yeah.
It is about how I look. It's about what I'm wearing. The shoe. It is possible to find a young person ambaye zile vitu amevaa leo is about 20,000. But this young person is going to sleep in a house 2,000 shillings. And that house is basically empty.
So even the fact that we cannot be ourselves, we have to pretend to the world, this alone says that we are sick.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We have so many people, even so many rich people who are very poor. Why should I be so rich and I'm stealing? It's because psychologically, I am sick. I am discontented with this life. I still want to have more. When I cannot have enough, it means I am sick.
Now, We started from spirituality, finding ourselves. Is the society reaching where we are because the spiritual leaders have failed somewhere or failed us somewhere?
I will tell you for free that, and this can also be very controversial, and since this one is also on YouTube, I know that I can get a great backlash.
Yes.
Unfortunately, most of the clergy that we are dealing with are very inferior. They themselves are so inferior. Also sick, but hiding behind religion. To an extent, some of them devaluing the value of education, devaluing the normal way that we are supposed to live. And it is the same church, some of the churches, let me quote some of the churches because not every church. We have very sound pastors, very sound churches. Some of the pastors who try to show that as long as you are poor, and poor meaning you do not have wealth, is that you are under a curse.
Yeah, true.
So the moment you know that you are under a curse and you are not rich, then you get traumatized, which means that it gives you depression because you're not where others are. You've been praying, you've been fasting, you've been working in church, and you keep being told that there is something you've not done. You're told that plant a seed, you plant a seed, nothing comes out because probably you planted on a rock, and then after planting, you're told that your faith is not enough, and there's always something that is depressing you, and eventually you become traumatized. And then when you're almost gone and done, then what are you told? Then you now start going to seek this God. And unfortunately, instead of now having that self-realization, that spirituality, now you begin running after the men of God.
Yeah.
This time round, you go here, you hear that you are cast, you run to another one, you are cast, you run to another one, I don't know, you need to do the dedication, you need to do this, and eventually you are so sick, and sometime you decide, sikanyangi kanisa tena. Yes. So umeenda nje, you are so sick, and you are out there, wretched and wrecked by the church. Yes.
There is something, I know that this interview has taken longer. We may have to do several parts of this interview because it is a wide topic.
Yes.
There is something that I wanted you to enlighten us a little about. These days the youth, it's commonly do tattoos on their bodies and so on. Is there something spiritual in this, and why is it so common? And what do people gain? What do they gain from this?
Let me talk at it from two fronts. One is the ignorant one. Because I saw someone, I do not care, I'll go and just do anything, whatever it causes and all that. I do not care. Some of them is not even about spirituality, it's not something they are worshipping and all that. They did it because of peer influence, because of observing some people doing it. But there are those who specifically do it, and some are ordered from cultic practices. They are actually told, for you to be able to gain this, then you need a snake or a cobra on you, you need a spider, you need this, or a spirit that you represent in terms of a graffiti on you, in terms of a particular thing that represents something. Just like the way people are so ignorant about the names of our vehicles. There are many vehicles that we do not even know their names. But if you go, people don't just sit down and just come with a name from blues. They mean something. And so in the same way, and I've said that there are two things. I can come and draw a spider from an advice from a spiritual leader, and I do it. Then another ignorant child or a youth there comes and does what they saw me doing, because either they have idolized what I have done. So these two people are doing the same thing. Now the problem is, some of these drawings might be open doors for spiritual attack. They might open doors for spiritual attacks. Yes, and I think this is very critical and very serious. That the Bible says in Hosea 4:6 that my people perish for lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes, so many young people are suffering because they do not even know what they are putting on is a covenant with some gods they do not know.
I understand even these days there are some clothes with different drawings or whatever it is that mean a lot in the spiritual world, but that we probably may just buy and put on without knowing.
Now let me ask you, how many times have you gone to Mutumba or some of the shops and you just find a t-shirt written "God loves you"?
Many times, always.
I'm saying
Yes.
If you look at it, the t-shirts that mean something are not very common. But these others, they could be anything. You'll find them 50 bob, 30 bob. They are literally available. But when it comes to production, either of music, either of dark world science, like today, they are really trying to make the LGBTQ issue. They're either showing the symbol, they can easily, because they are advertising. In other words, they're trying to make you a billboard.
Oh.
They're trying to make you a billboard because you can access where they cannot access. You're going to become an influence to others for whatever they are trying to sell.
Knowingly or unknowingly.
Now, for the people who are doing it, they know what they are doing. But for you that is wearing, it's not a must that you know exactly what you're doing.
So, in other words, you are saying even when we go to buy these things,
Yes.
we ought to be very careful on what you are buying.
Exactly. I don't advocate for ignorance when buying clothes. Just the other day, I found a very religious woman, a woman in church, very decent, a mother of very decent children, and she's wearing a t-shirt that it is written "Gold Digger." See, she's written "Gold Digger," and I also remember one time I saw a woman, a show actually on the bank. It was written "I am a pimp." So you can imagine the kind of message. Whoever wrote that kind of a thing had an intention. But for us, we are so ignorant. Sometimes we actually insult ourselves, even when we are walking on the road. The other one, and I hope it won't be vulgar on the social media. You know the Safaricom, the Safaricom logo, the one that is right, the better Safaricom, the better option. And somebody replaces that word Safaricom with sex.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
And so you can tell that that person has done is very intentionally
doing that.
Yes.
For a reason.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Now we are still moving on. Spirituality and multiple sex partners. Yeah.
Now, that's a huge topic. That's a huge topic which I can only do it in summary.
Yeah.
Now, both socially, spiritually, psychologically, multi-partners are draining. They are draining. And the moment we begin engaging ourselves, remember that when we talk about sex, we are talking about sharing not only our bodies, but our emotions and our spiritual connection. Which means if I connect myself to so many other people, that is why the Bible would refer to me as a prostitute. Now, the Bible does not just refer a prostitute to a person who is paid for sex. The Bible will refer to a prostitute with a person who has multiple partners. And it has a lot of negative connotation, which maybe in this forum we may not be able to exhaust it. But I would say that we are creating connection. It's like creating multiple links. And all these people are draining you. And you're depositing yourself in so many other people. In other words, what we call the soul ties. You're tying yourself, which means you'll have effect on your marriage. You'll possibility of you being able to sustain a marriage will take God's grace. And sharing of even some of the characteristics, you can even share some spiritual diseases with those partners in giving and taking.
When you talk about spiritual diseases, which ones are these?
Now, I've said that sex is about sharing.
Yeah.
It is what you have and what I have. Now, the Bible says that for marriage, remember it says that and a man shall leave his father and mother, and together they'll become one flesh. It means that these people are connected. And by the way, what people do not realize is that soul tie is not a bad thing. It was meant for marriage. You are meant to be tied to that one partner. That's why the Bible says that you are one until death do you part. You're supposed to be soul tied to your marriage partner.
So when you talk about soul tie,
Yeah.
what exactly does it mean? Soul tie.
It means that your souls,
Are tied,
yes,
are brought to be one.
yes. But remember, even when Paul is talking about in 1 Corinthians chapter 5,
Yeah.
when even talking about when he's talking about a man and a woman bonding and become one, he says that this is a complicated matter, and he chooses not to delve into it because their bonding is not
It's not
something that you can really explain in a scientific manner.
To me, it's like God's mystery.
Yes, it's God's mystery,
Yeah.
where he's bonding two persons and they become one. That is why my parents can bring me until I become an adult. But when I get united to my wife, I do not want the same parents to interfere with my marriage. I would rather defend my wife against my parents. Yet they have brought me up because there is a mystery. There is a mystery in the way we unite. And so when we misuse that, just like we abuse alcohol, when we abuse sex, then it has far more reaching spiritual implications than the eyes can meet. Yeah.
Although these days I'm beginning to doubt whether there is any more soul ties. Because even marriage these days is not marriage anymore.
It is probably because we've messed ourselves so much from back there. We've really messed ourselves and we've moved away from the plans of God. That is why even marriage is lacking that sweetness. It is lacking that God's plan, what God intended from the beginning.
Thank you very much, Reverend Kimani, for this elaborate conversation. The last question is there spiritual healing?
Yes, I would say definitely yes, because spiritual problem requires spiritual intervention. If it is a demonic case, you will not give medicine. It will then require for it to be dealt in a spiritual way. And only those who understand spirituality or those who are connected And to an extent, also those who are gifted in that area are the ones who are going to solve that. As I had said, that most of the clergymen or religious leaders will require to be trained in psychology, in counseling, anthropology, and all those kind of things that understand how a human brain works and how human beings operate. And so if they are able to diagnose the problem early, then they'll know exactly which kind of problem they're going to, or what kind of solution they're going to offer when it comes to mental illness.
Is it possible that there are some demonic issues that pass without being diagnosed as demonic, because probably a particular pastor is not well versed with the demarcation between a demonic and a physical illness?
There are many times that people people aggravate their problem, and some of it is not even about ignorance and all that, because if a pastor is genuine and has a burden for a person with a problem, then even God's mercy and God's grace will work and they'll have a solution. The problem is when we see somebody with mental illness and we have seen an open market where we'll tell this person you must plant a seed, where we'll tell this person you must do A, B, C, D, that which will benefit me. In other words, I'm trying to gain from somebody's predicament. So there are so many times that we misdiagnose. Yes.
Thank you very much for opening our minds into this topic, and we look forward to further conversation on this. We appreciate your being with us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching today's episode. Please remember to subscribe, to share, click on the notification bell, like the videos, and may God bless you.